Just like humans, pets can easily injure themselves or become ill, but they depend entirely on their owners to act quickly to potentially save their life before veterinary treatment is obtained. Would you know how to apply first aid if your pet needed you? Being prepared for little accidents is an important part of caring for your pet. Just as with ourselves, having a well stocked first aid kit at the ready will help you deal with an emergency. The team at the Vet Shed has compiled a comprehensive first aid kit for your pet. The last thing a pet owner wants to see is their much loved dog or cat in pain. First aid is essential if you want to make your best friend more comfortable on the way to the vet, and it may even save their life in extreme cases. Bear in mind, emergency treatment and first aid for pets should never be used as a substitute for veterinary care, but it may save your pet's life before you can get your pet to a veterinarian.
Hi, I'm Amanda from the Vet Shed, and today I'm going to be talking to you about our first aid kit for pets that we have available here at the Vet Shed. I have my little friend here, Lola, who hopefully is going to be my assistant today to help demonstrate some of the items that we have in the kit. So accidents can happen at any time with our pets, so it's important that we are prepared and that we have some basic first aid knowledge for pets, and also that we have the equipment that we need in that emergency situation at hand. And that's why a first aid kit is so handy. A lot of the human first aid kits just won't cut it when it comes to helping our pets. So band-aids and things like that just aren't going to work when we're trying to bandage or stop some bleeding in a dog or a cat. It's just not going to work. So here at the Vet Shed, the veterinary nurses have come up with a kit that we think includes most of the things that you're going to need if you encounter an emergency with your pet. So we're not saying that a first aid kit replaces any veterinary care, but it definitely can potentially save your pet's life as you are getting that pet to the vet. So if a pet has profuse bleeding, they're in shock, things like that, if you can take some basic measures while you're getting to the vet, that can potentially save their life. So a first aid kit is so important for that reason. Having that basic first aid knowledge is also really important. So whether that be through a book, which we actually have one online that we sell, and that goes through a range of basic first aid procedures and emergencies and what to do in those emergencies, or there is a great first aid app for pets. It is called First Aid for Pets. It's available for Android and Apple phones. So I've got mine installed on my iPhone. I've also got it on my iPad as well, and it's a fantastic reference for any type of emergency that you may encounter with your pet. We might just go through some of the items in the kit that we have here. One of the first things that I think is really important is to actually know what is normal for a dog and a cat. When I talk about what is normal, I mean what is normal for your pet. So say Lola, she's a very non-active dog. She sleeps a lot. She's quite elderly as well, and I know her normal. So say if I came home one day and she was panting profusely, quite agitated or something like that, I know to me that's not normal for her. So it is important to know your animal, know what is normal, and then you can actually act in that situation and go, maybe there is something wrong with my pet. So what we've actually included in the kit is a great little chart which gives you all the vital signs, the normal ranges for dogs and cats in terms of temperature, their respiration rate, so their breathing rate, and their heart rate as well. So that's really important to know what actually is normal, so you can see if maybe this is an abnormal situation and we need to do something about it, especially when it comes to temperature as well. So that can lead me on to why we've included a thermometer in the kit. So it's a digital thermometer, which means it's super quick. You've got your lubricating jelly there as well. You fear that your dog or cat may be suffering from heat stroke, may have an infection, something might seem just quite off. You can have that thermometer there, take their temperature, and it's a good base to see if something is going wrong there in terms of, is their temperature up, is their temperature down as well. So that's important too. Gloves. So gloves, disposable gloves are really important. So I recommend if you're dealing with your pet and there is some type of fluids, whether that be blood, pus, anything like that, where there could be a risk of contamination or infection, whether that be you getting contaminated or you contaminating your pet. It's really important to stick those gloves on first thing so that we can make sure that everything is kind of as clean as possible in terms of what we're doing for our pet. So that's why they're included in there. They're really. Then we've got some wipes. So a dog or cat may get a wound, so it's important to clean that wound before we actually start dressing it with bandaging and things like that. So you've got some alcohol prep swabs in there, which are just the clear covered swabs, and you've got the ones that are the Provident iodine swabs as well to cleanse. So you've got a few of those in there, which are great as a starting point to actually clean that wound, cleanse it, get it at least a little bit clean. That's where also the Chlorhex Cetramide flushes come in. So you've got two 30ml vials in there. They're fantastic for irrigation, so irrigation of any wound before you start bandaging. They're really handy to have. We've also included some sodium chloride. You've got 5 vials there as well. These are good, same thing, flushing out wounds, but they can also be used in the eyes as well. So if your animal has, you suspect there's something in its eye and it seems to be pouring out its eye, it's quite irritated, before you get to the vet, at least you can give them a little bit of, relief by flushing out their eyes with this. So one example would be if your a dog had been to the beach and it's got its eyes full of sand and it's really irritated. These are fantastic for that type of situation. Give them a good flush out, and that's going to really help minimise the discomfort to their eyes. So tick twisters, these are really important. So it's really important to have your pets on tick prevention all year round anyway if you are in a tick area. Paralysis ticks are deadly. They can be really serious, so it's important not only to have that, but then if you do find a tick on your dog or your cat, you can remove that straight away. So don't wait till you get to the vet. You want to remove the tick as soon as you can, pop it in a bag, take it to the vet. They can identify it and tell you if it is a paralysis tick or a brown tick, and so that's really important to have that at the ready. We've got some tweezers or forceps in the kit, so great for getting out splinters, prickles, anything like that. They come in real handy. We've also got a styptic pencil, which has a couple of uses. So it can be used for nails that you've cut too short. So a lot of dogs will have black nails and you can't actually see where the blood supply starts in the nail, and unfortunately you may cut their nail. It's easier to cut a dog's nails that you can see that are clear and you can see where the quick is or where the blood supply is. It makes it a lot easier to know that you're not going to cut into that blood supply and make it bleed. But accidents do happen. You know, I've cut my dog's nails before a little bit too short, and what happens is you get blood everywhere, and some people do panic and get quite stressed about it. It'll bleed quite a lot. So what you want to do is use this diptych pencil in that situation. So firstly, you want to wet the end of it and then apply it to the nail, and that can stop the bleeding there. Also, it can be used in instances of minor insect stings and bites as well. So that's fantastic that it's got those two uses in there with that little pencil. So really great item to have on hand. So we've also got some syringes here. So we've included a 10 ml syringe and a 20 ml syringe, just some various sizes there that you can use. So these are really good for either irrigating a wound yet again, or you can use them by filling them up with just some plain water. If you feel that your animal is a little bit dehydrated and you want to get a little bit of fluids in it until you get to the vet, you can syringe that into the mouth just a little bit at a time. So they've got a few different uses there as well. Some bandaging. So bandaging is really important if your animal does have a wound. So if there's a wound and it's bleeding, it's really important that you want to try and minimize that bleeding as you're getting to the vet. That can save an animal's life if you can actually stop that bleeding, you know, as much as you can. For bandaging. So we've got the bandages here. It comes with some adhesive bandage, which is a little bit of a heavier bandage, and bear in mind this one does stick to their fur and can hurt a little bit when it comes off. So just bear that in mind. Then it might be something that if you are using it, you might want to use it when the vet can actually remove that for you, or you can purchase the little removal swabs there, which is going to help take that off without any discomfort to your pet as you're taking it off. So that one's there. You've also got some cohesive bandage. So cohesive bandage is more of a lighter bandage. It sticks to itself as well, and great for just you know, putting a light dressing over something to you know, secure that dressing or the swabs in place to put that pressure on that bleeding. So we've included some dressings in there, so non-adherent dressings, so they're not actually going to hurt when they are removed by the veterinarian. You want to place that on the wound, apply some pressure, and then you're going to be using your bandages you know, to keep that in place. So you want to pop those on that situation. You can also use your gauze swabs as well to put the pressure on the bleeding or the wound to cover it up if you know you don't want it to potentially get any more infected. So you've got 100 gauze swabs in there and a couple of the non-adherent dressings as well. In some instances you may suspect that your animal has a potential break or injury to their limb, and you want to immobilize that limb as much as you can because you don't want to have any further damage to it. So you want to keep it nice and still as much as you can, so the bandages are going to come in really handy in that. And what we've done there is try to immobilize that leg. So if you know there was a suspected injury, a suspected break or anything like that, or a snake bite, we've immobilised that joint to just pretend that Bodhi has actually got a wound on his leg that is bleeding. We want to minimise that bleeding and blood loss, and
just apply that basic first aid treatment until we get him to the vet, so the vet can actually assess, you know, how bad it is, or is it just a minimal wound. So what we can use is one of the non-adherent dressings. So they're really good because they're going to provide some protection over the wound itself. So what you can firstly do is clean the wound as much as you can and then apply the dressing. Hopefully he's going to cooperate with me. He's thinking this is all a game. So one of the things you want to do if you don't have anyone to help you out is, you know, just talking reassuringly to the dog. If you're finding that the dog is not allowing you to touch that wound because it is so painful, any dog can bite or any cat can bite when they're in pain. So you don't want to get hurt either. So we've included 2 rolls of the conforming bandage just in case you don't have a muzzle at home that you can pop on your pet. A conforming bandage can actually be used as a temporary muzzle just while you're attending to that wound. So they come in really handy for that reason as well. So what we're going to use is one of the non-adherent dressings on Bodhi. You can see I've popped my gloves on because I don't want to risk any contamination. I want to keep, you know, the procedure as clean as I can. So we're just going to pretend that he's got a wound on his leg. So we've got some of the, what that dressing is going to do is apply some firm pressure, not too tight, firm pressure to it. I'm going to apply some of the soft band to it, just to give it a little bit of extra padding. And you're going to pop that on there. That's just, it'll just rip by itself. And then you can get the cohesive bandage, pop that on. Again, you want some pressure, but definitely not really, really tight pressure, because what we're doing, well, what the aim is that we're just stopping that bleeding. We're not cutting off blood supply. Situations. So what we've done there is we've bandaged his leg, we've minimised the bleeding that he has on that leg, and then we can go to the vet to have that assessed, you know, a bit more thoroughly. I've got some Wound Guard as well. So Wound Guard is an antiseptic and a bitterant spray. So it contains chlorhexidine as well. So that's the antiseptic in there. Great for, you know, minor wounds, grazes, anything like that, infections. And what it also does is it prevents your pet from licking that wound, going back, probably making it worse if they keep licking it, or you know, trying to bite at it, because it's got that yucky taste to it. So Wound Guard's really handy to have on hand. It's also great post-operatively if your animal has had surgery and it's got stitches. You can apply that around the stitches, and if they go to lick it, it's going to taste really yucky, and they're not going to want to you know, go back and have a go at that. So Wound Guard's really handy to have on hand in any situation. We've also included a dog lead in there, so sometimes, you know, you just can't find your dog lead and you really need to run out the door, or say your animal doesn't have a collar on at home. You can use this as a slip lead as well. So all you'd be doing is just popping that through, popping that over their head, and you've got a collar and lead in one, and then you can run out the door as well. And it's also handy because sometimes, you know, you're in an emergency, you're racing to the vet, you get your animal into the car, and you've forgotten a lead and you've forgotten a collar. It's probably the last thing you're thinking of. So if you have that in your kit, you've got one there. So that's great to have. One of the last things I want to show you is the emergency blanket. So it's a foil blanket, and what that's used for, 2 purposes. It's used to as a heating blanket, And also, you can use it in situations where your animal is overheated. So, one of the main uses we find is that you use it in instances of shock. So, shock occurs when there's major trauma, such as, say, your animal is hit by a car, so they go into shock. Their body temperature is going to drop quite dramatically, and you want to try and keep them as warm as you can. So having an emergency blanket on hand and popping that around them is really a really essential item to have in there. And you can use it in instances where they are overheated as well. So it's a fantastic addition and really essential in cases of shock, because shock is life-threatening and you really need to transport them to the vet. And what you want to do is try and have some procedures in place where you're at least helping them as you get your way to the vet clinic. So keeping them calm, keeping them on their side, and popping this over them as well. You can potentially save their life by putting those measures in place. So that's pretty much it for what's in the first aid kit that we've put together. Really, you can put anything in your first aid kit. You can add to it. We've got a lot of products on our website that are for first aid. We're really proud of the first aid kit that we've come up with. We really think it's going to be a essential item in your household for your pet, and potentially saving their life as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video, and thanks for watching.